So let's broaden this out by speaking with a global affairs analyst, Amuda Mosigbodi. Thank you so much for joining us, Mosigbodi. It's been a long while. The partial results show that Mr. Putin's party is easily retaining its majority in parliament, and in an election where his most vocal critics were barred from running and candidates who were allowed to stand were heavily vetted. What has been your reading of the whole electoral process?
If you look at what is happening in Russia at the moment, you cannot divorce it from what is happening globally. Putin seems to be taking some lessons from other countries where we've had sit-tight presidents. And of course, a very close one is the lesson he has taken from his close ally, which is the Belarusian president, Mikhail, if I'm right, who was almost toppled. And I think these were the things that Putin must have seen, and so he decided that it's better he takes, he makes or he does the things he feels are needed by stifling opposition, ensuring that opposition candidates are not allowed to run for the election. And these are the things we saw play out. After the Belarusian election, there was thousands of people spilled to the streets to protest. And, of course, Putin wants to present to the world that he's still in charge. And so he has been able to ensure that the opposition candidates are either sent to jail, or some candidates, a lot of other political gimmicks, were used to spoil or as spoilers for the opposition candidates. So this is what we have seen play out in this case. And I'm not surprised for one. Putin has never hidden his interest to stay beyond, stay up to maybe 2036. And that's just, what we'll call a play out of what George Orwell said in his book, Animal Farm. And so it's quite interesting that this is playing out. And of course, it tells you that, well, dictatorship may not just be the preserve of underdeveloped countries, but it is also something that you see even in developed countries.
Well, there have been growing concerns over living standards and allegations of corruption from jailed Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny, which have likely affected support for Mr. Putin's party. But with this likely victory, do you feel Mr. Putin is still very popular with many Russians?
I think we should also understand what a lot of dictatorship do. While they know that their ratings will keep dipping with people, they present a picture to the world that they are in charge. And of course, when opposition members are not allowed to talk, you then begin to feel that the silence of the opposition members means that there is no opposition at all. And that's what Putin is playing here. They silence every opposition member, like the Navalny that you mentioned, and a lot of other persons who are opposition, and then create what we can call a phony parallel. For instance, the Russian party that is the United Russia party that is taking the lead at the Duma elections now is seen as not belonging to Putin, but then towing everything that Putin does. So it sends you a picture of what Putin is trying to do. Yes, he knows, and I'm sure that the Putin-led administration knows that it has lost face with many Russians. You need to speak with Russians. I was discussing with a couple of friends who are Russians, and you need to hear some of the commentaries that they make about the Putin administration. However, the sit-tight syndrome of this administration, and of course, the long arm with which it is foisting its interests on people, has made it difficult for a lot of people to come out and vent their disappointment with the administration.
Well, just like you said, with the way Russian government, is silencing or silenced their critics, the incarceration of Alexei Navalny, for instance, among others, do you consider Russia being fair or committed to its citizens' fundamental rights?
I think we must not also lose sight of the fact that Russia seems to be a closed society, and for closed societies, issues of human rights are mostly stifled. When we talk about matters of human rights, they are mostly stifled, and we don't enjoy the same freedoms that you enjoy in an open society as what you have in closed society. And that's what we see come into play in the case of Russia in this instance. So I'm not surprised that Russia is going through this while it is trying to experiment with the socialist democracy. Its democratic ideals do not involve having that needed opposition to the government of the day, and that's what the Russian government led by Putin is playing out in every sense of the word. Rights are, like I always say, the contest between individualism and communalism would always be a continual one globally, and this is what a lot of these acclaimed socialists like Putin would always put forward, that the interest of the community, which is Russia in this instance, must be put first above the interest of the individuals, which are the oppositions and the critics.
Absolutely,
in the case as we have it.
Absolutely. Let me quickly button because of our time, and I want you to quickly answer these very shortly. How would the international communities be, monitoring or be seeing the developments in Russia vis-a-vis the election?